France is located in the center of Western Europe and is one of the largest countries on the continent, with an area of approximately 550,000 square kilometers. Its population is approximately 68 million, and its capital is Paris. Its geography, stretching from the Mediterranean to the English Channel, from the Alps to the Atlantic coast, places France at the heart of Europe, both strategically and culturally. Throughout history, France has existed not only as a country, but also as an idea. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity were spread throughout the world with the French Revolution of 1789. This revolution ended the monarchy and gave birth to the idea of a republic. With the revolution, the concept of French identity gained strength. Language, education, and secularism became the cornerstones of this identity. The state was established not only to govern its citizens, but also to shape them. The French Republic made secularism a constitutional principle. Religion was considered a private matter and largely excluded from public life. This approach sometimes created tensions, especially in relations with Muslim immigrant communities. In the 19th century, France established a large colonial empire. It obtained resources, labor, and influence from colonies in Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean. This historical connection is the basis for many immigrant communities living in France today. World War II was a turning point for France. The resistance against the Nazi occupation was both a shameful and an honorable page in the country's history. After the war, France turned to reconstruction and the foundations of the European Union. Today, France is one of the founding countries of the European Union. Along with Germany, it is the political and economic locomotive of the continent. However, anti-European sentiment and national identity debates also rise from time to time in domestic politics. The country's system of government is semi-presidential. Both the president and the prime minister have significant powers. In politics, the center-right and center-left have been decisive for many years. In recent years, far-right and far-left movements have gained strength. Paris is not just a capital city, it is also a global cultural center. It has shaped the history of art, fashion, literature, and thought. But its suburbs are often the scene of poverty, discrimination, and social exclusion. There are significant differences in living standards between rural areas and large cities in France. Unemployment and depopulation are prominent in rural areas, while housing and immigrant integration are prominent in cities. This dichotomy is directly reflected in politics. The education system is based on meritocracy, but equality of opportunity is not always achieved. Elite schools are only open to a small part of society. This leads to the reproduction of class distinctions. The French are known for their culture of political protest. Strikes, marches, and street demonstrations are an integral part of French democracy. This movement demonstrates the dynamism of the system and the desire of the people to participate. French immigrants, especially second and third generation young people, can face an identity crisis. On the one hand, they grow up in the French education system, and on the other hand, they struggle with discrimination due to their origins. Discussions about racism and Islamophobia have intensified in France in recent years. Laws on headscarves, school uniforms, and religious symbols have divided public opinion. This has led to a constant re-questioning of the balance between secularism and freedom. And amidst all these contradictions, France is a country that is both loyal to its traditions and constantly transforming. It has an identity that is both revolutionary and conservative, both a defender of universal values and a bearer of internal contradictions. Before moving on to the next section, if you watched this video up to this point, thank you guys. If you want to support us a little, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. France is Europe's second largest economy, with world-class brands in sectors such as automotive, aviation, agriculture, and luxury goods. However, economic success is not reflected equally in all segments of society. Unemployment is a serious problem, especially among young people and people of immigrant origin. Even university graduates can go a long way without finding a job, while low-skilled jobs are often left to immigrant workers. This situation feeds social inequality. France has a strong social state structure. It has comprehensive health services, education, unemployment benefits, and a retirement system. However, there have been serious discussions about the sustainability of this system in recent years. As state social spending continues to grow budget deficits, governments are seeking to reform areas such as retirement ages and social benefits, often met with mass protests across the country. The French people see protesting not as a constitutional right, but as a civic duty. Strikes, street marches, school boycotts have become almost a part of daily life. They are a cornerstone of French political culture. In recent years, the Yellow Vests movement has become a new example of this protest tradition. The reactions that started with the fuel price hike quickly turned into a mass rebellion against poverty, inequality, and the crisis of representation. The government's attitude was often harsh. During the protests, police violence, media bias, and political polarization became more apparent, and the streets of France came to symbolize a period when people's patience was running out. The integration process of immigrants in France is still not complete. Young people of North African origin in particular are growing up with both a search for identity and a feeling of exclusion. They frequently express discrimination in education, employment, and housing. Suburbs are where this inequality is most evident. Inadequate infrastructure, high unemployment, and poor quality education push young people into the margins of society. Occasional riots are seen as an expression of this pent-up anger. In France, the concept of secularism has become a system that limits religious visibility. The headscarf issue in particular is a constant topic of discussion in schools and public institutions. This brings both Muslim communities and human rights defenders into conflict with the state. Nationalist and right-wing populist movements are gaining strength in France. Anti-immigration, security concerns, and Islamophobia are the basis of these discourses. This is leading to sharper lines within French politics. But in all this chaos, there is still a strong civil society in France. Trade unions, student unions, human rights organizations are actively working. This is one of the elements that keeps the democratic balance alive in the country. The young generation demands a different France from the older generation. These young people who want a fairer, more inclusive, more open-minded society express themselves through social media and cultural production. The new France is taking shape in their hands. One of the biggest challenges facing France today is finding a balance between the pride of the past and the realities of the present. It is not easy to stay true to one's traditions and adapt to the values of the modern world. And amid these conflicts, France is still trying to redefine itself. This quest is not just a political struggle, but also a question of identity. France is one of the first countries that comes to mind when it comes to culture and art. Names such as Victor Hugo, Molière, Edith Piaf, Jean-Luc Godard are not only French, but part of the world's cultural heritage. The country sees art as a way of life. Paris is not only a capital city, but also a city of art. Louvre Museum, Orsay, Pompidou. Music, theater, cinema, and painting come to life in a different neighborhood every day. It is possible to encounter art even on the street. French cuisine is also an integral part of the country's cultural identity. Baguettes, cheese, wine, and simple but elaborate tables form the natural rhythm of daily life. Eating is not just about nutrition in France. It is a social gathering. The country is also one of the centers of fashion. Paris Fashion Week is followed worldwide. Luxury brands, creative designers, and unique styles have turned French chic into a global reference. France's understanding of secularism is stricter than many European countries. Religious symbols are not allowed in public institutions. This has caused constant conflicts, especially between Muslim communities and the state. Issues such as headscarves, bikinis, religious symbols in schools create not only a legal conflict, but also a cultural conflict. On one side, there are advocates of individual freedom, and on the other, the Republic's principle of neutrality. This balance has still not been found. French society is open to intellectual debate. Bookstores, discussion programs, Student forums reflect the intellectual vitality of the society. However, this area of freedom sometimes reproduces social class distinctions. For the French, daily life flows in a simple but regular rhythm. Morning coffee, metro ride, dinner, a night spent reading a book. This simplicity is the basis of their understanding of quality of life. Family structure has changed in France. Nuclear families, individuals who prefer to live alone, and immigrant family structures are intertwined. Social norms have become flexible, traditions have diversified. Young French people feel both the burden of the past and the uncertainty of the future. While some want to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the system, others demand radical change. This generation is the main actor who will determine the future of France. Environmental awareness is rapidly increasing in France. Green policies, bike paths, reducing plastic use, etc. are now part of everyday life. The fight against climate change has become a rising social movement led by young people. Technology and digitalization are also transforming the social structure of French society. Startup culture, digital arts, and remote working are now normal parts of life. This transformation is also changing traditional living habits. France's international image can be contradictory at times. On the one hand, it is a symbol of freedom. On the other hand, it is an implementer of harsh security policies. This contradiction provokes different interpretations both at home and abroad. And in all this wealth, France remains a country that still questions itself. While trying to protect its values, it must also adapt to innovations, because the world is changing and France must evolve with it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned to discover more together.